All right, here we are. It is May 27th. It's Monday, and it is a 3-day weekend. I don't know what you guys are up to. What are you doing today? You got some swimming pool action? Are you at the amusement park? Are you nursing a hangover? Are you frying up some fucking okra? Is that what that stuff fried? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I just got up. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing good. Great episode today. I spent a lot of time in New York, bouncing back and forth, and there was this spot I walked by every day on the way to the Comedy Cellar on 3rd and 27th. And I've been going by it for 3 years, and actually not just going by it, but going in, and that is Modern Pinball NYC. And I am an absolute pinball freak. If you didn't hear episode 100, which was 378 episodes ago, I had the great Tim Arnold on, who owns the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas, and that was pretty damn epic. But to really sit down with my guest today, Steve Zahler. He is the owner of Modern Pinball NYC and also a tournament player, seeking his Pinball Championship. This guy is great. I love pinball. I always have. To me, it represented freedom. Going to the arcade, your mom drop you off there, or you ride your bike. A lot of things happened at the arcade for me early on. I got my red line BMX stolen in front of an arcade. Still fucking hate that person, whoever took that bike to this day. A square back, I believe it was a 77. Popped in for a minute at Dodge City, and that was the name of the arcade. And wanted to just play a real quick game of Convoy, I believe it was. And turned around and that fucking bike was gone. But many great memories of arcades, and I still know all the names of them. The Encounter Zone, Dodge City, Scandia, all those places I would hit. What was the one on Broadway in San Francisco? I forgot the name of that one. It didn't really have a name. You just went in across the street from the Stone and laid down some skills. Pinball is an interesting thing. In 2018, it is alive and very much well. It is super popular still. The hipsters like it. They like to play some pinball. There's nothing like pinball, though. You get in there, you start to play, and as corny as this sounds, all your problems go away. And the leader of the pinball revolution is Stern, out there making some of the greatest games. And Stern, come on, buddies. I need a game here in my podcast studio. I'd really like to have Iron Maiden or Aerosmith or Metallica right in here in the hut. I would just go to town on it. It's funny, you get it. I had some video games in my house in San Francisco, and you get them and you play them for like 2 weeks, and then they become the laundry table. Not with pinball, though, man. Pinball never gets old. It never gets old, and it just gets better and better. And it was great to talk to Steve about all things pinball. Crazy stuff, like who's designing the games now, like Keith Owen. This guy designed the world-famous Iron Maiden machine. If you haven't played the Iron Maiden machine, it is fire. And he designed that, and he's the #1 player in the world. And I tell you, pinball's a whole different game now. I played some really, really good players recently, and I realized, these guys are next-level nerdy because they learn every shot. They take every shot. There's no just shoot the ball. You know, every move is planned, and so I don't know. That's cool and everything, but I like just to play. The machine and I going at it, not worrying about what every shot is. It's just how long can I keep that ball on the playing field. You hear that, Stern? Send a machine. Anyway, it was amazing to talk to Steve, and his love of pinball is obvious. He has dedicated his life to it. He opened one of the great arcades in New York City. He's right in Manhattan, which is just amazing, and you can hear all about it. It's a great episode. Before I do get into it, got some upcoming shows coming here. May 31st, I will be headlining at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room, running a long set. Get your tickets for that. That's the Belly Room, May 31st. It's a Friday night. June 7th through the 9th, I will be headlining at the La Jolla Comedy Store, which is going to be super, super kick-ass. And what else I got? That's it right now for the shows. I mean, I'm on every night. If you're in LA, just find me at the store or the Laugh Factory. Patreon is going good. Patreon, we just put up the 33rd or 34th bonus episode. I can't remember. And it looks like a lot of people are digging that, which is very cool. If you want to hear extra episodes of Let There Be Talk, just go to patreon.com/Dean Del Rey. And sign up. Daniel Hutner, welcome, buddy, to the Patreon. Love you. Thanks for the support and the love. Before I do get into it, let's see. Here's what was happening yesterday. I rented a car. I haven't drove a car in a while. I rented a car, and just to go run errands like grocery shopping and dumb shit. And I had the old Bluetooth on, and my phone just was on random shuffle, and it landed on the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East, and it landed on the deluxe version, so it has about 20 extra tracks, and it was on Whippin' Post, which was probably the original, besides Stormy Monday, was the original rabbit hole song for the Allman Brothers for me when I was young. But this particular Whippin' Post I hadn't heard probably since it first came out on the bonus tracks. It was a 13-minute version of Whippin' Post, and it just fucking blew my mind. Just to hear Dickie and Dwayne, the guitar stuff that was going on, it was so... look, I've heard Whippin' Post 1,000 times, but they must have been on something that night. I can't remember if they were, but I think they were. And the lead work that they were doing was blowing my fucking mind, man. I listened to it 3 times. That's like 40 minutes of Whippin' Post, 3 13-minute versions, just back to back to back. Like, I got to hear that again. So, there's nothing like some Allman Brothers on a 3-day weekend, I realize. Allman Brothers, Grateful Dead, you put that shit on, you're like, all right, the 3-day weekend is rolling. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get into it right now. And enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're coming up on episode 500. I just cannot believe it. This is episode 478. The candles are fully lit. Here he is, Steve Zahler, owner of Modern Pinball NYC. Thank you, guys. All right, welcome to another episode of Let There Be Talk. This is a great guest. Introduce yourself.
Hey, how are you? I'm Steve Zahler, owner of Modern Pinball NYC in Manhattan.
And we're on, what 27th and 3rd?
3rd Avenue between 26th and 27th.
That's,
yeah.
I've been walking by this place for like 3 summers. I pop in, I'm like,
awesome.
ooh, look at that. And it always blows my mind that somebody has dedicated their life to pinball. I had Tim Arnold on, who owns the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas.
Wow, awesome.
And
that's a great place.
That is. Have you been?
I have been. That was years ago, but they have just tons of great, a lot of unique games. You don't see them everywhere.
No.
They have that really cool circus game with all the habit trails and ramps and crazy stuff going on.
They got a weird pinball I just played there a few weeks ago where the table tilts
I've played
that thing's
I've played
weird.
that, not over there, but actually I played that at Silverball in Asbury Park. Great place for pinball also.
I heard that place is
I
crazy.
live pretty close to there, actually, yeah. They have that tilting pinball machine. I love that because it's so interactive. It's great to play with a friend. It's very social.
Yeah.
And, you end up cursing each other out, so it's good.
Pinball is such a bizarre thing in 2019. Don't you think? Because of like computer games. Of course,
it's
even going back to Pong, thinking that pinball would be phased out, and here it is still holding strong.
Everything's video. Everything is, isolating yourself with an iPhone or something in a corner and just, playing Clash of Clans or, going on your computer and playing Fortnite all day long. So in this day and age, but it's a great thing because it's very social. And, lots of parents bring their kids here and we do parties. And it's just great to see that, and that's something I miss, people being social around games. That's the way it was all the time. I mean, you remember when we were kids and
the arcade
that was where
it's life.
It happened, man.
It's
It was life. Absolutely.
It's where you learned about life. You learned competition.
Yeah.
You learned girls would be there.
Everything.
I don't know how old you are, but you would go and it'd be like,
man.
50? I'm 53.
Just turned 50.
I just turned 53 yesterday.
Yep. And I just, my back just started hurting, on my birthday. No, but something, those were the days, you're right. I mean, you learned about everything about life.
Yeah.
And now you're just, unfortunately, the kids are just learning about shooting everyone up, And,
well, from that kind of video game.
Yeah.
Now, you're 50. Obviously, you grew up in the age of pinball like myself. I don't know, where did you grow up and how did you get into it?
So I grew up in Westchester, in New Rochelle, Westchester, New York. And pinball was everywhere,
We had a gas station.
Everywhere. We
pizza.
And I remember which pinballs were in. I have a very weird selective memory like that. Like, I remember what was where, when I played it, and where I got yelled at.
Same here. Like, I would run out of school. This gas station, Rotten Robbies, which we called Rotten Rubbers, had 2 pinballs, and I remember specifically Matahari.
Matahari, I love that game.
And I would just lay
That's
there.
all saucer. The top saucer, just get that bonus. Man.
Yeah.
We have that in tournaments from time to time, so that's all we do. But it's a fun game with a lot of targets. I love drop targets also. But yeah, I mean, look, going back to Westchester and the beach clubs that we used to go to, they all had game rooms. I'd play stuff like a lot of electromechanical machines at that time, like Hocus Pocus, Old Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you had the solid states at that time as well. Games like Kiss. The 78 Kiss. You had
Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel.
Yeah.
Fantastic game. Harlem Globetrotters. You had, Power Play. All those games. So, yeah, it was like I used to go to the beach club to play the games. Bowling alleys.
Oh, always.
Big haven for
Always.
games. And then there was a stationery store that had Gorgar, the first talking pinball machine. We have that here also, now you don't have that, unfortunately. It's very heartbreaking to go to one of these big restaurants like Nathan's or whatever and to not have a game room. So we wanted to bring that back, and we wanted to do our part to bring pinball back into the mainstream, So
what were you doing before you opened this place? Were you just...
I was designing websites. I had, I owned a computer company at one time, and I was building PCs and doing networking. And then I got into the web development business. So I set up my own firm, and we were doing websites for people, companies, and doing maintenance and that kind of thing. And so, I was just, always getting into stuff, so doing different things.
And then what gets you into opening this place? Because it's got to be a big nut. You're in Manhattan.
Right.
You got to own the game. So how does this all come about?
So I was kind of getting the 7-year itch. I wanted to do something like a family entertainment center. And I started looking around at these mini golf, like places that could be a mini golf place, or
Like
things like
Scandias
that.
and shit like that.
Yeah, and actually at that time a very magical thing happened, and I got a call from a gentleman named Steve Epstein, who I had helped him with a couple of tournaments. He started the IFPA. I don't know if you know who they are. They're the International Flipper Pinball Association, and they rank players, and they run the World Championship year after year. And he started all that. He had an arcade called the Broadway Arcade in Manhattan, and it was a pretty famous place. And he had called me and said, "Hey, Steve, what do you think about doing a bar with, like a bunch of games and stuff?" And make a long story short, I told him that actually at that time I was looking around to do something. And what I really, if I was going to go into pinball or do something like that, I'd want to do something to bring it back to the mainstream, to make it very family accessible and make it so that kids could go there. So I wasn't interested in doing a bar type of thing.
Yeah, like Barcade over on St. Mark's.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
Because now you're limited to adults.
Yeah. And basically, I have a couple of kids, and they're really crazy about pinball. And, I didn't want to have a place where they wouldn't be allowed in. So I wanted something that was accessible around the clock, to families, and kind of bring that whole thing back. So we partnered up, and we set up shop almost 5.5 years ago.
Did he close the Broadway one?
That he closed back in the 90s.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So he got the itch again of like, hey, why don't we open something?
Yes. And so that was a pretty amazing thing for me. And just, running Modern Pinball NYC day to day, it's a joy. Even if I'm not here all the time because I'm doing all the, paperwork, I'm wearing all the hats back at the office. But it's great to talk to people, and at least a couple of times a day, I'm on the phone with people that, share a similar story, that they really found a connection with pinball and with people around the pinball machines that they were playing, and who really lit up when you started talking to them about that stuff. So
yeah.
And then being at the place, I meet people, great pinball players come here. We have a lot of competitors, but lots of enthusiasts, lots of collectors, and a lot of the mainstream just acquainting themselves, and kids acquainting themselves for the first time with pinball.
So when you decide to open the place, you look all over the city for a building. How do you choose this one?
Well, Steve already had a place in mind, so he took me here, and he thought it would be a great place to open. It's in a nice area. It's called Kips Bay.
Yeah.
At the community, not far from Gramercy. It's very family oriented, and I looked around and thought, well, it looks kind of small, but it's really hard to tell though, until you start putting machines in and start measuring, like what you can do with a place. But I think he really pulled my heartstrings, and the whole idea of pinball and doing something with that was just extremely exciting. So the blood kind of rushed to my head, and I, jumped at the opportunity to do something.
Do you leave your job right away, or are you doing both at first?
I kind of put the brakes on it, I guess you can say. It was kind of getting dry for me because we started out, my wife and I actually were partners in this. We started out designing, being very creative, doing the graphics and copying, marketing, and it was a very interesting career for the first, I would say, decade, and then it kind of got, then we started getting a lot of maintenance work from our existing clients, and I really didn't want to add more employees to the business. I kind of wanted to keep it very mom and pop. And so we wound up doing all the maintenance, and then we didn't have much time to do the creative,
Yeah.
So
So no artistic.
But now I'm doing. I did the website for Modern Pinball NYC. I do all the social. I got big into social. We're out there with an Instagram. Lots of people are posting really fun pictures on Instagram and on Facebook. So we're out there on the internet, and that kind of ties everything together for me to be able to do all the social. Do the PR and we get a lot of press. So I'm always busy with them, and it's nice to be able to get out there with this stuff, and be able to do two things that I love to do.
So when you first start, you got to buy some games. You sit down and you go, what do we want to have in here? I think, what do you got in here, 30 games?
So there are about 32 games.
So you got to really pick something when you first open, 5 years ago? You go, okay, we got to get the right games to drive people in here. Is it a combo of vintage and brand new?
I like to get games that people had been connected to at one point. So that's always nice. And then some new games, like what we have right now. We have a nice Stern lineup, and we started selling Stern games. Stern's official showroom is in our place, their New York City showroom. So we have a lot of the new games, like Deadpool and Iron Maiden and Guardians of the Galaxy.
The new Kiss.
It's a beautiful game. It's the limited edition. And the speakers light up. It has a shaker motor. You really get an experience.
The brand new Beatles. Aerosmith. It seems to be the trend now is definitely all band stuff or big popular movies.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because I'm a big fan of a lot of these bands. And, for me to play Kiss and listen to the music while I'm playing and then, try to get the ball, into Gene's mouth and start multi-ball and then he spits them in. It's just so interactive. And, Stern puts these themes together in such a way where you feel like you're a part of the experience. This is an experience, when you're playing one of these newer pinball machines. But I like the old ones too. I like flow. And a lot of the old machines have some really good flow. I could have as much fun sometimes playing $6 Million Man or a Xenon. We have a Xenon machine here also, or a black hole machine that we have here. I could have as much fun playing one of those as one of the latest and greatest games with a million different lights and movie soundtracks and whatnot. If the game has great flow, if it has that magic, like Addams Family by Pat Lawler, great designer. We have a bunch of games designed by him. You have a game like that, and you could spend all day on it and not get bored. And it doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles.
You said that the guy that designed the Iron Maiden is the champion of the world right now of pinball.
He's an amazing player. His name is Keith Elwin. He just started working for Stern, I guess, about a year ago. It was he had mentioned that it was a dream job for him, and he designed an awesome game called Iron Maiden, and just a fantastic game with fantastic flow. He knows what the players want,
What do the players want?
I think the players want really good flow. I think they want something that they can connect with, something that they find a challenge but doesn't have a very steep on-ramp to getting good.
Yeah.
Like I said, the bells and whistles are fine, but it's got to have that magic. It's got to have that flow. When you're playing a machine and the teamwork, Keith Elwin designed and everything, but you have the whole Stern team that did everything else. Great sound engineering. Everyone plays a part. You kind of sense, or I kind of sense, when the team got together and they really produced something that was very special, and they knew they were onto something. Not all games have that magic.
Yeah. I felt the new AC/DC was a little bit of a dud once I played the Metallica. So I know what you're talking about.
Hit, and
it gets into these flows. Like Metallica just plays great, but then you play the AC/DC and you go,
AC/DC, and it depends which version you
I was
play.
playing the one with the lower play field.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that's a little more interesting than the Pro model. The Pro model doesn't have that lower play field. I like AC/DC, I think, because of the repeatable shots, but I usually don't go too far. It's a very complicated. That machine is very, very complicated in terms of rule set, in terms of strategy. So I try to keep it simple with that. If I ever get that in a tournament or something, I'll keep it simple. Maybe I'll just ramp it and shoot the bell, and get my playfield multiplier. But so it really depends on what you like, what your preference is. So that game has, the 2 ramps. It has the loop shots. It's your fan layout. And there are a lot of games like that, but I think it's tough unless you really study the rules. It's kind of tough to level up on that game.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things you need to know for each of the modes, and it has a lot of modes.
It's funny you say that because I've been playing pinball all my life, and not once have I figured out what the rules are of a game or the options. My whole life would be just start playing it and play it as long as you can.
I think we all started that way, right?
So now do people actually go online and study the game so they can get maximum points?
The information is out there. You can study it. The rule sheets are out there. Some of them are pretty long. I'll tell you something though. It's interesting that you mentioned that because all the way up until my first tournament, I didn't know a thing about rules, and
I don't either.
Yeah, and I'd been playing probably like you since very early on. Since the first time maybe you were taken to a restaurant and they had a game room. But like, if I say I started when I was 4 or 5 years old, and when we were playing those solid state games and whatever, it was really just about, maybe. The only rule I knew back then was, if there was a button on the playfield to raise the post between the flippers, I knew about that.
Yep.
Because that could save your life, man.
Yeah. Or get all the targets.
Get all the targets. You did something right because all of a sudden you started getting a ton of points.
Yep.
And so, there were certain things you locked onto as a kid, but until the first tournament I played in, now, I kind of went into that tournament dry. That tournament was actually held at Silver Ball. Steve Epstein ran that tournament, and that was in December of 2010. That was the first tournament. That was the first time I had ever competed. And I just remember going to that tournament like, okay, let's see if you're good. Let's see how good you are or if you're good at all. I had no idea where I stood in the competitive world of pinball. And I didn't know rules. And the only thing I had at the time was a Star Trek Next Generation pinball machine at home that I had, recently purchased at that time.
And that's what you were just practicing on.
Yeah, but I still, I had an idea of what to do, but I didn't know exactly. I didn't know the rules. And so I went to this tournament really just bare bones, and I came in second in that tournament.
So were you going in the frame of mind like I would go in, just play the ball as long as you could?
Yep.
And then you start seeing people that know the rules of the game, and you're going, how did this guy get like 20 million in 1 second? Is that what was going on?
Yeah, and I think I depended on my ability to keep... Yes, but my ability to keep the ball alive.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Very, very important. I mean, I can't say it enough. And even when we do the classes over here, the first thing I tell people, we just had a class here a week and a half ago. I say, if there's one thing in life when you play pinball that you do, one thing, don't flip both flippers at the same time. You're leaving yourself wide open. You have no defenses at that point. And then, of course, the other flipper can shoot the ball, and hit the tip of the other flipper, and you could drain very easily like that. The other thing I tell them is that let the ball bounce. Trust your flippers. The flippers have rubbers. They're not just plastic. They have rubbers around them. Trust those flippers in that you don't have to flip every time the ball comes to the flippers. You can let the ball bounce off of one flipper over to the other one, and you can trap the ball. That means catch it,
and shoot,
the flipper up,
aim,
and just slow things down, because that's when people die, is when things are just
Too
going
fast.
crazy. Yeah, just too fast. The ball's building up momentum, and they don't know what the heck is going on. And you do have opportunities to slow the ball down. But when I was at that tournament, and I had the ability to save the ball, that enabled me to get to second place, not knowing the rules of the games. So maybe there were one or two that I kind of knew, like maybe Matahari or something. I don't
It's
remember.
not really the rules. It's
But-
the point of the game, how to get further, right?
So, if you stay alive long enough, you're going to make shots that do good things,
Yep.
in your game. And you may not know where the lock shot is.
Right.
But I guarantee you, the longer you keep that ball going, the greater your chances are of getting that lock shot that you didn't even know that was there, and you'll get it again, and then you'll start multi-ball. And because you might have good skills with the flippers, you might be able to keep that multi-ball going for a while. And when you have that multi-ball, and that's the holy grail, you want that multi-ball, because that's when you light up all those shots for jackpots.
Yeah.
All right? I remember my friend Dave Peck. He goes to all these different tournaments. This guy's like a traveling band. He goes around with his beautiful family, his daughter Danielle and his wife. And you know something? We talked about this, and the ability to just keep things going and how important multi-ball is and stuff. And, well, something? He has that ability. His daughter, Danielle, is doing a great job. And she is, I think, the number one.
Yeah, they just set
but she knows rules.
they just
too.
set this interview up for me, and I played with them in Vegas.
I'm just amazed when I see them play. And he's got a ton of machines, but
Yeah.
when you know the rules and everything. But that's what I'm saying. Like, even just keeping the ball going, or keeping the multi. You can have like 6 balls on the play field,
course.
all going, doing different things, going crazy, but the shots are lit for jackpots. So
Yeah.
now you're killing it. And so even some of the guys that know the rules, listen, some of them are just like that, and they've got the great flippers. Those are the ones to watch out for. Those are the guys like Keith Elwin or Lyman Sheets, or any of these top players.
Are these guys making money in these
They
tournaments?
do make money. Like they're. Well, I know with the IFPA World Championship, you can win a pinball machine. I mean, you can win a brand new Stern pinball machine.
That's like
And
$8,000.
These are, yeah, man. So there's, and then there's the bragging rights and all that stuff, and then the ranking points, which is what everyone wants. You get ranking points, you get ranked higher in the standings, and there are a lot of rewards. There's a lot of incentive out there, yeah. So it's just some of these guys are evil vicious with the flipper skills and with the knowing all the rules to everything.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the capacity to
I-
learn and retain.
I just like to kick
all of
ass
that.
on the machine.
Sometimes you just want to play the game.
To me, it's how long
Yeah.
can I keep that ball on the playing field.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
absolutely.
So you're getting ready to open.
So we were able to get, like, at the time we got games like Star Trek, Stern Star Trek and Metallica, 2 really great games. So yeah, I mean, we did buy a bunch of games as well. So now I have a lot more freedom to buy the games that I like. And really, I'm buying a lot of the new Stern games. I also have a Jersey Jack machine, which is called Dialed In, which is a lot of fun. I'd mentioned Addams Family before, and the designer of that is Pat Lawler, and he designed Dialed In. And
Right.
it has great flow, and a lot of people love that game. So I'm able to have a lot of control over the games that we have over here, and I like having that, and I like being able to buy games that I used to enjoy, when I was a kid.
What do you do
like
with the-
$6 Million Man?
Do you rotate the ones in and out here? Like, do you have a warehouse or something?
Yeah, I do. I keep a lot of them at home, and my son Jason, he's a big time competitor. He's 14 years old. The kid is like 70th in the world out of over 60,000 competitively ranked
Incredible.
players. And he, so now I got a Deadpool for Modern Pinball, and like he's like, he's starting to hint. He's like, that's really a lot of fun I wonder if we could have that or what. I said, well, maybe when we rotate them out, I'll bring one home. But I love that.
So does he play all day, every day?
He doesn't play all day, every day, but he plays enough, and he is a really smart kid, and he retains enough that he can figure a game out after playing it just a few times. And I think that's incredible. I'll need to spend some really good time, and maybe read a couple of rule sheets, but he figures his stuff out pretty quickly. And I taught him the basics and everything growing up. I mean, he started playing when he was like 2.5, 3 years old. And I taught him the basics and the flipper skills. And so that's like, he's a natural with that. That's an extension of himself. The flippers are like, additional hands for him.
That's a lot. I hate those games with the little dumb flippers, the old 60s games.
Yeah.
And even on the Primus reissue or Big Melons, it's got the little ones. I don't like that. And I love Primus. I was like, that'd be a great game at my house, but I don't like those little nubs.
Did you ever see the tiny flippers that they call them zip flips? Like they move back and forth?
No.
Like there are some older electromechanical machines where you hit something on the playfield, and then like the flippers will spread apart at the last second.
No, I've never seen that.
Or yeah, there are some really cool games like that. I love those kind of games because
I love them, but not for my house. If I had one in my house, I'd want a classic.
Playtime, yeah, and that's before my time. Like those games are like from the 50s and 60s, and I do enjoy them though. And Jason, he didn't like them very much when he started playing them because they always threw him, like he was used to playing our Addams Family at home or our Star Trek Next Gen. You have a couple of flippers at the bottom, you have one or two at the top, and you get used to that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you play one of these Gottliebs or something, something with a very weird flipper arrangement, and you're like all over the place. Like, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, this flipper's too small to do anything, so...
In the competitions, you don't know what games you're going to play, right? So you get there?
Sometimes you do.
So they could just
throw it in? It really
throw it
depends
in?
on the competition.
Right.
But sometimes they will, post up on a Facebook group or on a website somewhere, the lineup, the bank of games. Sometimes they're all moderns. Sometimes they're solid state, which are, the ones with the digital displays, kind of like KISS 78 and
Love
stuff
it.
from that. Yeah,
the good stuff.
the really good stuff. And then you have the electromechanicals. Those are the ones with the bells and the analog score reels and that kind.
Screens.
Yeah. So you'll have like a mix of those or one or the other. And so it's nice when obviously what you're going to be dealing with. So then you can look up the games and read up on rule sheets and stuff like that.
How does a tournament go down? Let's go through this a little bit. You show up, and how many games do you play, and how does that work? There's a bunch of people. There's multiple pinball.
So there are different formats,
right?
There are lots of formats, and a pretty popular format right now is kind of like a King of the Hill, Last Man Standing format.
Yeah. Take me through that.
Yeah. So basically, maybe you'll have 20 to 30 players. They will all be sorted by groups, and they'll be given a game to play.
Just one game?
They'll be given one game to play. And then they'll go ahead and play that, and this is one type of format. There's actually another format where they're given a bank of games to play, and they keep score, But, basically, whatever format it is, they're playing the game, and they're adding up their score to see who came in first, second, third, fourth, and then, based on that, they're getting ranked for that game, and then they'll go to the other couple of games if they have another couple of games in that set.
So you play like 3 or 4 games?
Sometimes 1 to 4 games, let's say, and then 2 of those guys or gals will get knocked out, and 2 of them will stay in the tournament. So basically, you keep doing this until you get to, the top 2, and then. You have your finals.
When you get at the finals, can you pick what game you're going to play?
Sometimes it depends on the format. It depends on if they're using like an app, like an iPad app, to run the tournament. So sometimes that'll pick the game. Sometimes you get the pick of game. If you don't have the pick of game, then you can pick the order. Or if you, if you want the other person to pick the game, you'll get the pick of order. So who goes first, who goes second, or in a multiplayer, in a 3 or 4 player, there's the player order, first, second, third, fourth, and that's pretty important.
Why is that important?
Well, the thing is, if you go first, you're kind of like, you're learning the game for the first time if you hadn't practiced that.
Oh, I got ya.
So if you practice it, then you know where the ball's going to come out of, like from certain, what they call kickouts. Like the saucers, the holes on the play field. So the ball goes in the hole. For those that don't know about pinball, you can get the ball in a saucer or a hole, and then you get some points for it, and then it kicks the ball back out. But you really want to know, you actually have an edge when you know where those kickouts are going to send that ball, because if they send the ball to one of the flippers, you want to know how to handle that.
Yeah.
Now, so it's things like that, or what to do with the plunge to try to get the skill shot. When you first send the ball into play on a lot of pinball machines, there's a certain skill shot that you shoot for to get extra points or to set up certain things in the game, Yeah. So now if you watch the other players, you get clued in on what those kickouts are, where they're sending the ball, and maybe if you do a full plunge on the ball plunger, you see which rollover lane the ball goes into. Maybe you need to complete the 3 lanes to do something, to increase your bonus.
So it's like a preview, so you're going to be ahead.
It's a little preview. It's very valuable, but so some players will pick player order over the title, especially those players that they just know all the games, so it really doesn't make a difference to them which game it is, So, yeah.
When you guys opened the door, 5 years ago, was it immediately a hit, or was it slow to burn here?
I will have to say it was immediately a hit, and we got a lot of press coverage. NBC's Today, so that's some national coverage. Before we even opened Modern Pinball NYC, I was in the IFPA in Germany, the World Championship over there, and that same morning, I actually did Good Day New York, and that was like a 7-minute live piece, first time I had ever been, on the air live. Kind of nerve-wracking. I had to bring 3 pinball machines. Me and this gentleman named Paul Drabick of Wanna Pinball, great guy. We both brought 3 pinball machines there, and so people love pinball, and it gets a lot of attention. So we opened up Modern Pinball, and I started reaching out to different press organizations and just people coming in and seeing what we were doing. It was like magic, So really, all you had at the time were these, barcades.
Yeah.
And I think for us to come in here and take a chance like this and not have any drinks and just having faith in what we could do with pinball and not even having any video games. A lot of people thought we were crazy at the time. Like I said, I didn't want to do the bar thing, and when I told Steve that, he was like, "Well, I'm not going to do it without you," and I've been thinking about you for a while. Had you in my back pocket basically, but I said I didn't want to do anything with a bar, so there was that. But he had enough faith, and I had enough faith to do something like this. So the press immediately latched on to this. And like I said, it was kind of a unique, I think, concept, not having the bar.
How did you set up the format? Because were you quarters at first? Because
No.
it's basically, what is
No.
it, $20 an hour?
It's $14.95 for up to an hour, and all the games are on free play.
Yeah.
So you just press the start button to play. And that was something that I wanted to do. I felt very strongly about that. I didn't want there to be an obstacle to people learning the games, especially the new games, because a lot of them can be very complicated. The older games, sure, you play it a few times, you get it, and it's fun and it has the flow and everything. A lot of the new games, you go out there, they're like 75 cents, $1 to play, and the games go very quickly.
Yeah, they're like $1, and you're like, oh, my game's over.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of you see how that goes.
Because you're terrible at first. You're just like, what? Yeah. And it's only 3 balls now, not 5.
But even if you were like one of us, where you grew up with the games, and you knew how to play pinball, and you were good at it back then, then you go up to a machine and you pop $1 in there, you get 3 balls, you don't get the 5 balls you used to get.
Yeah.
So you get the 3 balls, and look, a lot of people haven't played pinball since they were kids. I talk to these people every single day. They're like, oh my God, and a big smile happens on their face, and they're like, I haven't played pinball since I was like 10 years old. Oh my God. And it's like, the Messiah, I'm serious. It's like a love in their life that came back.
Well, it's a time machine. As soon as you play it, it throws you back into that time.
But I love, me personally, I love pinball. I spent a lot of time, playing pinball and being with friends playing pinball and taking turns and talking about everything from school to girls to just, name it. And it was culture. It was the fabric of this. It made more than Hollywood made back in the 70s.
Is that right?
Yes. It was the biggest entertainment thing. I don't know. Not venue. What do you call it?
Pinball more revenue than films.
Yes.
Until Jaws came out. Can you believe there's never been a Jaws pinball? Can you believe that?
I know. Only a Baywatch pinball with like sharks in it. And
no
stuff.
Jaws pinball.
There needs to be someone needs to talk to
Stern.
Steven Spielberg.
What are you doing,
right?
Stern? Because they made a Indiana Jones. How do you not have Jaws with that iconic poster as the backdrop, and Quint, and have the boat there?
The shark can eat the balls.
Shark can pop out and grab the ball.
You just grab the ball.
That shit would be amazing. A Jaws pinball, I'd lose my head.
I never thought about that.
Come on.
That's a really great idea.
Way cool. Stern, wake up. I'll promote it for you.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
yeah, I get it. So this way people could come in and learn the games without...
the games, and the press was very interested in it because it was kind of a unique thing, I think, not doing the bar and trusting that pinball would carry us.
Yeah.
In the big, expensive city, the cost of living here
Crazy.
is just enormous. And but I think we were blindsided by our love for the game.
Yeah.
And we both really loved the game, and we really connected on that. So
now, have you been competing all your life yourself? No, you just started?
I started in December 2010 competing.
Oh, that's right. You told me that. It was your first one. You got second place.
Yeah. That's when I started competing. So, and I'm still competing.
And now you're going around the world doing it?
Yeah, I started doing that, believe it or not, in like 2011, 2012, And I'd been to a lot of different states, and I had been to Germany and here and there. That was definitely an experience. Going to Germany the same day that I was on Good Day New York, and I knew I was going to sacrifice my performance in Germany, but it was totally worth it to, bring pinball more exposure. So I didn't do particularly well in that World Championship in Germany, but I also wasn't able to sleep the night before, going to be live on TV and stuff, and then having to lug those pinball machines with Paul, and really breaking our backs, and the tournament was like the next morning, and the whole red eye thing, and but before I even learned about that interview, I was already planning on setting up everything, like my whole lifestyle would change for the few days before the tournament, the World Championship, and I was going to eat a certain way and get a certain amount of sleep and really, set myself up for this thing, which is what I usually do for a World Championship, and that just went out the freaking window when that thing came along, because that was such an opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm really grateful, for that opportunity to do that.
Have you won any competitions?
Yeah, I won a lot of competitions, but not world championships. But I'm working on that. I think I need more stamina at those things. There's something, there's something going on there, and I haven't figured it out. But there's also some randomness. But some of these players are really, really high level, and like I said before, they know these games in and out. I mean, they wrote the rule sheets for some of these games.
Yeah.
Some of them are programmers for the game companies.
So they know every move.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying I need to do more. I need to do more homework, man.
Right.
And I need to play more pinball, especially the past couple of years, because I kind of let things slide, and I've been busy at work, and so I kind of prioritize things where competitive pinball is not first on my list anymore, whereas it was first on my list just a few years ago. Where
I get it.
I lived, I breathed.
Now your son's going to be the king.
Yes, and now because he's playing a lot, and he wants to go to every single tournament, I'm going to every single tournament. Well, no, but not every single, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just lots and lots of tournaments. There are a lot more tournaments nowadays than there were back when I started competitive playing, in 2010, 2011.
So it's just growing. It's getting bigger and bigger again.
Bigger and bigger. And, Josh Sharp and Zach Sharp are doing great with the IFPA. These guys are like the heads of the IFPA. Josh is the president. These guys just work tirelessly to, bring more competitive pinball to the public. They're making a lot of inroads, and it's really awesome. So, I mean, without that first tournament, I don't know where I'd be right now. But, I'm happy where I am. So happy to be, doing what I'm doing. And it's not like, any kind of big profit center or anything. Sometimes we're just scraping by, but it's a labor of love. If it wasn't, I'd have nothing to do with it, because it's a very expensive business. Games are breaking all the time. We're trying to keep, 20,
and you're
30
doing the
years.
maintenance on them, right?
I do some of the maintenance, and then I have a couple of great staff that do the maintenance as well. So, but these games are breaking down all the time. Each one has over 2,000 parts and over a half a mile of wire inside.
Whoa.
So can you imagine all the points of failure? And then that's one game, and then you multiply that by like 34 machines. I think I have about 32 pinball machines and 2 of the multi-arcade machines.
Yeah.
So people can play, have fun playing video games too. But I, multiply that out. I mean, that's an extraordinary number of points of, potential points of failure.
Absolutely.
And then, so we, at least 2 or 3, and they get a lot of play. So they're not like home use machines that, maybe you play them once or twice a day, if that much. We're having to replace a lot of parts, and a lot of these parts, you can't find them anymore. So sometimes you can get them 3D printed. It's just, I can go on and on about the costs associated with something like this, where you don't even have supplemental liquor income.
Yeah.
There are no drinks.
Oh, I get it.
So it's just raw, it's pinball.
Yep.
And I'm just thankful to have, the awesome staff that I have, that they're enthusiasts, they're pinball wizards, they're teaching people how to play. People come to them with problems, the ball gets stuck, that happens a lot. We clear it, they know what to do with the machines. I couldn't be luckier, really, and more grateful to have a staff like that with something like this.
Before we get out of here, tell me what your favorite game pinball ever. Like, if you could have just one at your house.
Man, that is tough.
I know, it is tough.
That is tough.
Maybe we break it down. So if I go 70s, it would probably be Evel Knievel or Kiss for me, just for the... I mean, Evel Knievel, Kiss, Playboy are all kind of the same.
Right.
As far as the game. So it's really what you want to have in your house. So a lot of people have Kiss in my world of rock and roll. I think Evel Knievel's just would be cool. Or $6 Million Man.
Yeah, I can't really... it's very hard to top any of that, but... I could just name things that I love, just like you name things that you love. I mean, they're all different. That's the beauty of it.
They
are.
are.
You go play $6 Million Man, like I was telling you before, the $6 Million Man has that same sound chip as games like Harlem Globetrotters and Power Play. You know, these games that I played all the time when I was a kid. You know, I fell in love with the sounds, you know, and all that. But and the gameplay is kind of similar with a lot of them. And they have a lot of drop targets that I love. Evel Knievel, drop targets.
Yeah.
I love target shooting.
I do too.
You know, so whether they're stand-ups or drop targets, you know, that gets me going. So I automatically gravitate to games with targets. Like you had mentioned the Nugent game.
Love it.
You know, these are the games that I grew up with. Like,
when you read the review on
Playboy's
the Nugent
great.
game, people think it's one of the worst playing ones because the flipper hole.
Man,
I know.
Because it's a great game.
It's just
I
that
love playing
Weekend
it.
Warrior album cover. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something about it that takes you back. You know, so there's the nostalgia value.
Yep.
But it can't just have that. Like I said, it's got to have the magic. You have to feel that the team that made that pinball machine, they knew they were onto something and they loved each other. You know, there was some.
Yeah.
You know. And we're seeing that again with the new games.
Oh,
because
yeah.
for a while there was a lull and you didn't have so much of that. But now, with some of these new games, we're feeling it. We're feeling the magic. You know,
that new Aerosmith play's great because it's just kind of a basic game.
It's a
That's what I like
fantastic game
about
with
it.
great flow.
Oh, great flow.
And it has great music.
It's
Aerosmith.
Oh my God.
And
Rats in the Cellar. You can pick all the tunes.
My son, he just learned how to play the Rats in the Cellar mode.
Oh.
And he's like the numbers that he's putting up on that mode alone. Like I always thought, put up 40 million, 50 million on a mode. He's getting like over 100 million just on that mode. I'm like, tell me how to do Rats in the Cellar.
Yeah.
You know, I just read the lyrics. Now I understand it. I'm enjoying the song more, but I have to enjoy the, you know, playing the game, playing the mode more. So, but stuff like Aerosmith, you know, and like the Kiss LE we have over here, and they incorporate elements from the band, and they're talking to you. Gene Simmons, his voice is on there.
Yeah.
He's like telling you, shoot that, man. You know, like, do that.
Yeah.
Join the band.
He's on there like, make more money. Kick Ace out. Kick Peter out.
There you go. Yeah. Well, he doesn't say exactly that.
That'd be great if he was saying weird stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for doing the show.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. I mean, I listened to your podcast, and I saw you on Conan.
Yeah. Conan, yeah.
Conan. And that's pretty amazing, man. So I really, when you reached out, that was a pretty amazing thing for me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Thank you so much, because what you're doing is just getting pinball out there even more.
Oh, I love it.
And anyone that does that, man, that's too cool. So,
yeah.
And you're a pinball lover.
Thank you so much for doing the show.
Thanks a lot, man.
Give everybody real quick your hours. You're open every day.
Yeah, we're open every day from 11 to midnight, and we do a lot of parties. We do a lot of kids' parties. We do lots of adult parties and company parties. But we're open for walk-in, so you just come in, pay, you know,
$15
for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, you get a wristband. You can go out and come back in as you like. We'll stop the clock. You don't lose any time.
Whoa.
So it's you're free to go next door to the bar if you want that. You get 10% off the bar on the next corner. You show them the wristband. We try to make it very easy for everyone to have fun.
That's amazing. So if I was coming in for 1 hour, I played about 20 minutes, and I go, I'm going to go across the street and have a sandwich. You turn the time off?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep. And you know something? It's not like we have everyone on timers. Yes, I'm going to say that at the risk of certain, you know, 1 out of 100 people that are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying now is that we kind of do things the old-fashioned way. Kind of like how we do pinball the old-fashioned way. We kind of do that the old-fashioned way. It's kind of like the honor system.
Yeah.
You come in here, you get your wristband, you go out. I mean, we're a small place too, but go out, you know, someone's really taking advantage.
Yeah.
And that's not nice. Not helping pinball. But you go out, you get 10% off your whole bill.
Yep.
At the Abbey Tavern right now. They're on 26th and 3rd Avenue, right on the next corner. It's only a very short walk, 3 stores away. And you know, it just makes it like more enjoyable, I think. So you don't have to be here. You get a 3-hour pass or you get a day pass. You don't have to stand up.
How much is a day pass?
Day pass, if you buy it online, you can buy e-tickets and actually save off of the regular rates.
Yeah.
I believe that's $24.
Day pass?
Day pass online.
That's cheaper than a babysitter. parents, like, I mean, that's what my babysitter was, the arcade. My mom would be like, here, go in here. Here's $5. I'll see you later. And I was like, wait a minute. The arcade's my babysitter. $24. You hear that, parents? Just drop your kids off and go.
I remember that. Trust me. I'm telling you, man, we're from the same.
You remember you'd be out of money and then you'd check all the slots. Oh, a quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Or you'd find a credit.
I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, that was.
Don't forget, what about the payphones? You ever do that?
Oh, yeah, treasure hunt.
I had to
treasure hunt
a few times on those payphones, man. Dimes galore.
I also figured out a penny trick where I could get, on the video games, I could throw a penny up underneath, hit something, and get games.
Okay, so I thought I was the only one that knew. Now, I didn't throw it up the coin return.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
No. There was this one machine at this flea market I used to go to.
Yeah.
And I think it was like Super Stunt, something like that. But anyway, this particular coin mechanism, if you keep throwing a penny down there, 1 out of 50 pennies, 1 out of 50 times you do that, you'll get a credit.
Whoa.
So
this one was cool. You'd go up from underneath.
Yeah.
There'd be 3 slots. You'd be in the middle. I don't even know how somebody figured this out.
Yeah.
And then you flick it up hard, and it would give you a credit. And some guy showed that to me. He goes, it's going to take you a while to learn. And you figured it out.
That is cool.
And
I'm going to have to try that now.
You would have to remove the guard, though. So the guards back then were kind of easy. You just pull it and it'd break it. It'd pop it off. You'd throw it away. And then, oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
And so you come with like 100 pennies.
So it's important to have pennies. It was important to have pennies. You want to have a couple of pennies in your pocket at that time.
I would just bring a bunch.
The store owner thought you were strange asking for like 5 pennies. I wouldn't 5 cents.
I would bring my own.
You would bring your own so they wouldn't be on to you.
Because like Tempest was hard as hell. So this is how you learn the game.
Tempest.
Let me
tell you, do you know the 40 credit trick on Tempest?
No.
Okay, so listen to this, man. Now, I don't know any other video game like this, arcade game.
Yeah.
On the actual authentic, coin op Tempest game, and I love to learn Easter eggs on these games, okay? And I used to be into video games big time back then, also in the 80s.
Oh, God, I loved them.
Big time.
My life.
So, and I have a bunch of them at home. I have like Robotron Galaga. Mr. Centipede, all those games.
What about Joust?
I don't have Joust,
great
but
game.
I want to Joust.
Yeah, it's hard.
I want to Joust.
So hard, yeah.
So hard. But anyway, so here's the thing about Tempest. So if you get somewhere between 170,000 and like I think it's 220 or 230,000.
Yeah.
And then you kill yourself off, and the last 2 digits have to be 10, I believe, and then you die.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 guys left or something, you got to kill them off. Those last 2 digits have to be 10, and then you wait for the attract mode to go through 2 cycles. Watch the credits at the bottom, and you will see that thing magically increment from 0 to 40 credits.
Oh, how'd you figure that out?
Someone told me.
Pre-internet. That's arcade. This
would have destroyed the arcades back then.
Yeah.
This knowledge.
Yeah.
The Tempest was fun, but I can never. I can only go so far in that game. After a while, it just.
I love the invisible wave.
I don't know if I got up to that.
There's nothing there.
So you were really good. You were really good at arcade games.
I was obsessed.
Did you make it to the end, like on Dragon's Lair and stuff? Because we spent probably $50, $100.
Yeah.
Just it was one of the first 50-cent games, Laserdisc, and that was
my games were Galaga, Tempest, Centipede, Donkey Kong.
Yep.
I owned Popeye at my house.
I had a Popeye.
Oh, that's the best. I want another one.
I had a Popeye and a Mario Brothers at one time.
Popeye, of course.
I learned how to play Popeye on the piano.
My life.
The bass line.
Oh yeah, my life was Asteroids when it first came out, and Space Invaders.
Now on Asteroids.
Yeah.
So
I played the ships.
You played the ships.
I played the ships.
So
I taught Bill Burr that.
I just
sat in corners.
You sat in the corner
with one big rock and just shot the small ships. Yeah. Played the ships.
I would just, do what most people. I would just stay in the middle and rotate around and just shoot everything.
Oh no!
But I never did the corner. I always I didn't feel good, man, in the corner. Like it's a very dangerous place to be.
It's scary.
You don't want to hyperspace because 1 out of every 5 times
bullshit.
you die.
You play the ships. The way you play the ships.
Asteroids,
the way you play the ships is you don't sit in a corner. Once you get the rock. The one last rock, which you always want to keep a big one. Yeah, not the medium rock.
Okay.
Now you just fly across the screen. Okay, so you gas it and let off. So you're just going, so that way he can't just hit you when he comes out.
You just reminded me of about 100 different Atari 2600 games when you went.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, but go ahead.
And then you just tilt in a way, and as soon as it comes out, you just lay a stream of bullets.
So
I'll show it to
you. You see, that's very risky to me because aren't you risking like just going into the mystery? Because it could show up anywhere, right? It could pop up somewhere, and then you could just like fly into it. But then again, you probably
You're not going to fly
10
into
to
it.
20 extras
extra ships
racked up after doing this.
Because
So who
each one's
cares if you shoot
1,000.
'em? I mean, who cares if
Right,
if
and
they
at
blow
10
you
ships is an extra ship.
Right.
At 10 little
At
saucers.
like 10,000 or something.
Yeah, 10
or,
saucers.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Asteroids was that vector display.
That was the
best.
game. All right, my man. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks again.
I can't thank you enough. And everybody stop in here. I've been coming here for 3 years now, and I absolutely love it. And I'm about to play the brand new Beatles right now, and I'm looking forward to play that. And let's play each other on this.
All right, let's do it, man.
Okay, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a review and subscribe on iTunes. And also, don't forget about my Patreon channel, patreon.com/Dean Del Rey, for all the bonus material. See you guys.